Hey there. Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone had a pleasant evening, good night's sleep, and you're up getting ready for whatever the world is going to bring us today. Because exciting times for all of us, right? Um, so I'm kind of excited because yesterday I got a new toy. Uh, I've been playing guitar since I was about 9 years old, 9 or 10 years old. And one of the exciting things, it's always technology for me. I love technology. It's why I do this. It's why I got my tablet and my all my gadgets. Technology. And when a new technology comes up with for music, I love it. I fall in love with it. And so I got this new thing. It's called the Positive Grid Spark. It's an amplifier. It's about this big, and I just love it. I saw a lot of reviews on it, you know, and it's basically an amplifier that you can replicate different cabinets, different if you know about guitars, different sounds basically from history, different sounds. And with an app on your phone, you basically can control all these different amplifiers and sounds and all this stuff, and create these great sound that sound really really good. Very impressed because technology, nothing is better than the real thing, right? When you have all the actual gear and the pedals and the guitar and the big amplifiers, that's the best sound. But this has come very, very close to replicating amazing sounds for not a lot of money, and for a small unit that you can carry around and take with you. And it's Bluetooth. I can connect to it anywhere. That I have a phone signal basically, and so that's pretty cool. And so anyway, I was very excited about that. And I think we tend to forget about the spirit of play as adults. As children, I think we're allowed, right? It's accepted that we go and we play, right? And as you get older, play becomes secondary, um, and it also gets kind of like looked down upon, and you'll see an adult male riding a skateboard, and there are people that are, you know looking at it and think like, this guy is it's a grown man, and I'm thinking in my head, I want a skateboard myself. Why don't I have a skateboard? I rode skateboards when I was a kid. But again, you get into this idea where that part of you gets stripped away, and it becomes a little sad. So when I get something new and I get excited about it, I realize, oh, this is such an important element of life and of happiness. And I was very aware of it. Now I'm very aware of it now as I'm playing more with my son. We play a lot of Marvel characters and a lot of Marvel adventures, and we watch the movies. And he loves Thor, and he loves Iron Man, and he loves Doctor Strange, which he really likes Doctor Strange, which I thought was interesting. But we get to play all these adventures, and we have all the characters, so I get to experience that. And I got to be honest with you, I enjoy it. I enjoy playing with these characters, because I mean, as a kid, I had one action figure, not to be a poor Johnny only had one action figure. I'm not talking about that. I don't care about that. But I did. I had one action figure that I liked, and it was a Green Arrow. I always liked Green Arrow, and I had one. It had like a missing. The wrist was, it had, because back then, I don't know if you remember, but we had everything moved, right? A lot of these characters today are like this. Like, we have a Batman that's pretty good, actually. And Batman pretty much moves pretty cool. But I love playing with these toys, and I could see the excitement in Ben's eyes, and I'm always thinking that spark. When you lose that spark in your as an adult, it really becomes quite sad. Hey, good morning, Marjorie. Thank you very much for stopping by. Good morning. Talking about the spirit of play. We're talking about staying, People say young at heart, and that's always like a coined phrase that people use, but it's really so much more important than people even give it. Really, to just play, just to have fun, to enjoy life. We're here in these bodies, um, for in these particular bodies, not for a very long time. Um, you know, Currently, right? And I think that why not enjoy the time that you have? If you're getting up in the morning and you're hating what you're doing, um, I mean, gosh, you really have to sit down and think to yourself, what are your last days gonna be like? You know, when you're looking back and saying, what did I do or what did I not do? You know, and I'm not talking about accomplishments. I'm not talking about making money or having a great job, or getting that extra college degree so you can get out there and really make more money and really impress those in-laws, right? No, I'm not talking about that crap. I'm talking about being happy. I'm talking about waking up. You can have a job and maybe you're not crazy about the job, but the job pays for the bills. But taking that when you get off of work at 5 o'clock, you know, and realizing that you have from 5 to, people normally go to bed around 11 and 12, right? That's a good chunk of time that you have to get home, have dinner with the family, or if you, or girlfriend, partner, whatever, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Try to find something that brings you joy. And I tell people all the time, write a journal, and start writing down things that you enjoy doing, and checking them off the list. Okay, I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to start doing that. Guitar playing was one thing that for me almost fell to the wayside because I was a little invalidated as a musician, not intentionally by everyone, but intentionally by some people. And I think that it took a weight on me. I thought, okay, I better grow up or something, some nonsense that I said to myself. And luckily, you know, I slowly started, because of my faith and my religion, or it's not really a faith, it's more of a knowingness and a practicing of life. I've gained more awareness on how important certain things are to an individual, and that to me is definitely one thing that's important. It's knowing what those things are that you enjoy, and then taking the time to do them. And if there's someone around you that thinks it's a waste of time, then that person is a waste of time. um Sorry if there's somebody that love, or they're showing that they love you, because that's not really love. If they really love you, they'd say, okay, what makes you happy? What brings joy to your life? Then let me help you bring that joy and raise that joy, and let me actually enjoy your enjoyment. Salute. Good morning, everyone. This is 7 a.m. My name is John Henry Soto, and I'm here every morning, Monday through Fridays. I just started on Monday. See how long I can keep this up. But I also have my evening show in case anybody is still uh, aware of that. The JHS show is still happening. It's just happening in late January. Guests and the end of the year, there was a lot of activity going on. Um, and scheduling people during those times is really difficult. So that was another thing. But we are going to start again at the end of January, and have some great guests lined up. Have some good stuff happening there. So the thing that we were going to talk about today was this, which is number 4 on my little list here, and let's read it together. So don't be afraid to promote your work, and do it often. If you believe in what you're doing, that will communicate to others. Remember, this is show business, so showing your business is part of the game. Can you name that famous person that never promoted anything? Me neither. So the show business part of it can be removed and really added to anything in life, right? Because when you really think about it, we're kind of promoting ourselves pretty much 24/7, right? I mean, we that is part of, we're either, making ourselves known to people that we work with and at our jobs, making ourselves known to even our families sometimes. I mean, our families may not even know who we are. They just know of us, but they don't really know who we are. So this is all kind of promotion. This is all kind of promoting who you are, and as an individual, as a spiritual being, and letting your abilities be known, right? And so it's not really, people say, I had people years ago when social media, maybe 6 7 years ago, when I was doing a lot more social media, and I realized that this was a really good avenue to promote not just my films, but music and all the other things that I love to do. um, Someone said, John, you post too much. You post too much, and it's like it's just too much. And I remember thinking, no, I don't. I don't post enough, actually. And if you think it's too much, you can mute me, delete me, block me, unfriend me, whatever they call it. Um, but I remember thinking no, and that was sort of really great on my part, because someone else might have thought, yeah, maybe he's right. Maybe I am posting too much. Um, but it turned out, looking back now, that person um, looks to me to help promote their business, and that to me is something that's gratifying, because you know technology really, when you use it to benefit others and to help the world, it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing, and I'm fascinated by this social media thing and live streaming, because we have 4 point, I think as of last year, 4.6 billion people are on the internet, worldwide, meaning that you can reach somehow 4.6 billion people. Now you can do the math on that, of how many people you need to actually get into your world, um, and create a product, a really good, viable, valuable product that people will enjoy and it will enrich their lives, and present that. And if you can present it to just a 1% of the 4.6 billion people, you have a pretty incredible career when you really think about it, financially, and just any other way you could think of, just a percentage of that. That's the power of it. Now how we tap into it, that becomes the work, right? That becomes, you have to create something, you have to put something out there, you have to continually test and try and um, fail, right? I mean, failing is part of this whole game. Failing is what scares a lot of people from trying things, right? And that tends, they tend to then at some point just kind of say, well, I didn't really, they convince themselves that they didn't really want to do it because they had a failure, or maybe it just wasn't for them, or maybe that person that told me I shouldn't do it anyway, they were right. Maybe I should do something else. Maybe I should do what they said to do and go back go back to school, or go back to being whatever I was, or just kind of take a step back and forget that plan, right? And that's a tragedy, because that happens every day, and it really becomes a really sad place to live. And as someone who's fairly aware of things and people around, for me, it becomes very sad to see, and I could see it. And it's really difficult to confront somebody and say, you should be doing this, you don't look like you're happy. That's something that a lot of people don't really want to hear, right? Because that again goes into making someone feel like they're wrong about something. And it's not, anyone is wrong, but if they're not happy with their current situation, right, they should try to find a way to make it better, right? It's your responsibility. It's not only, especially if you have a family, you want to be an example for your kids of someone that would take responsibility and try to make things better for themselves, right? So this becomes a tremendous tool um, for improving life. So because there's so many people on Earth, and almost 60% of them are on the internet all over the world, right? All over the world. You have to then realize that there's a lot of voices out there as well, right? So not only are you now promoting stuff, but there are a lot of people out there that are watching you promote. And some of them might not be keen to that. And it may be a nonsense thing. Maybe it doesn't affect them at all, but they like to communicate and they like to put you in your place, so to speak. Or maybe you're out of line in their world, in their estimation, by thinking that anyone would care. This is actually a pretty big one. Um, Thinking that anyone would care about what you have to say. That is a really big one, especially when it comes to social media. You know, people are very quick to post things that are pretty easy to digest for others, right? You know, a photo with, with friends at a restaurant drinking coffee, or a picture of your latte, your dinner, your food, your family, those kinds of things. Very easy to digest. But what about when you point the camera at yourself and you say, you know what, I have an opinion on something and I want to see if I can impart this to all of you, and hopefully it will benefit your lives in some way, right? Well, that sometimes becomes a little bit tricky because there are people out there who say, well, you know what makes you think anybody cares about what you think? And if you're not strong willed, if you don't have your foundation, if you don't have a strong foundation, whether it's a spiritual foundation or a philosophy that you really live by, if it's not strong enough, then you can be knocked off pretty easily. Your communication can be knocked off, and it becomes weakened, and you become less. You feel like you're less, right? You feel less worthy if you really let that sink in, and you allow it, right? You allow it to actually dictate where you want to go. So, but generally, people who are critical of those who are posting or commenting or using their voice to get a point across, um, there's something that they're not communicating, and there's something they're holding back on that they would like to communicate, but they feel that they have the same views. Generally, people that are blaming others for something are probably doing it themselves. Not everybody, obviously, but when it comes to something like that, especially when they go out of their way to tell you something that they disagree with that you wrote, but they never write anything positive, right? um, you can write anything, you can post anything about what you've been working on and the things you've been doing, and um, but they don't comment anything positive on it. But then, as soon as something that they disagree with, they'll jump right in there and get. So there's something really lacking in their lives that they feel that they need to try to bring everyone down to their level, and that's where your inner strength, your foundation has to be extremely strong for you to really, you know, look at that and say, wow, I really empathize with you, or even sympathize, right? Sympathy is when you really feel sorry for someone and you want to give them stuff, right? Empathy is when you put yourself in their shoes, right? So I have a lot of empathy for people like that because I do put myself into their shoes and I think to myself, well, what brought them to that level of wanting to tear down someone who really is just putting out positive, what they feel is a positive view on into the world. And again, it becomes this right here. Don't be afraid to promote your work. And by work means to promote you, and do it often. If you really believe in what you're doing, it will communicate to others, I promise you. And remember, life can be considered show business in a way, right? Because you're always showing your business. Now, you don't need approval, but you need to get people interested in what you're doing, especially if you do have a business. And if you're not doing this, then you're slowly you're losing 4.6 billion people that are on the internet, that are using this tool, and it's not just the internet. We're looking now, of course, at television, newspapers, magazines. All of those things are still viable ways of communication, and it becomes a tremendous uh, tool that you can use to not only promote you your business if you have a business, but to also promote who you are as an individual and how you can help others. That's also a tremendous opportunity that we all have. And one of the things, I say is that, can you name that famous person that never promoted anything? Well, even before the internet was on, do you think for a minute that these famous actors and actresses didn't have to go into an audition somewhere at some point? Do you think Al Pacino didn't have to go in? And I mean, he slept on the stage of a theater, because he had no place to stay. I don't know what the circumstances were. He's from the South Bronx, right? And you start thinking to yourself, well, what did he do to promote himself? Of course, he had to go out there. He had to put himself into uncomfortable situations so people can see him. And what was available at that time was open calls, casting calls, theater companies that you can join, um, studying at home, and then putting groups together, joining other groups. All this stuff is part of what we're talking about now, except today we have this thing called the internet, which has allowed us to communicate and to connect with 4.6 billion, almost 60% of the population on the planet is using this. It's only going to get bigger, it's only going to grow, and it is an opportunity for all of us to get out there and to really express who we are and to try to help others so they can actually do that as well. I think it will bring the world closer together. I know that the current scene right now is rough, but it's because certain airwaves are controlled by certain people. But once we are out there and we're able to communicate freely and be able to really express ourselves and what our thoughts are, and our belief in God, and our belief in our spiritual journeys that we're all on, and to put that out there, it will communicate enough to others because it's positive energy and that will unite us. It will. But we just have to all take the responsibility to do that and to get out there and to um, let our fellow man know that we are here and that we love you and that we have something to offer. And that if somebody says, you know, shut up, we don't want to hear it, that's your opportunity to turn around and say, no, I am going to hear, I am going to say this. And if you don't want to hear it, you're free to shut me out. And that's okay. That's okay, because that's not your target audience, right? All right. So I can go on and obviously talk about this, but I've been hit hard in the last 10 years on social media. But through it all, I've actually learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about others, and I've been able to help a lot of people as well. And they've been able to help me. And for that, I am extremely grateful for it. I'm grateful for the technology. I use it positively. And I try to help people every single day. So for that, I'm grateful. I am also grateful for all of you, for anyone out there that hears my voice today, whether it's on the video live or whether it's on the podcast that will come out in a few minutes after I'm done here. I appreciate you. I wish you well. I wish your goals, I wish you can see your goals clearer every single day and march towards them with ferocity and passion. And I wish that for all of you. So, with that said, thank you everybody for tuning in. I will see you all tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. God bless. Take care of yourselves. Be good. And as